All right, friends, we're back with another episode of the VeeFam sessions. One I'm so pumped about. I'm here with Michael Keen, co-host of the NFTCatcher podcast and creator of the NFTCatcher.io. Is that your baby?
Yeah, co-founder. There's four of us that started it, but it's kind of my idea. It came from my past experience as a ticket broker. I kind of had the idea, and we put it together.
I love that. And so we're really excited to get into that and so much more. But this is so special to me because when I first started getting into NFTs and I went into my Apple Podcasts way back a year ago, essentially. And I said, I need to get into this in podcast form because that's how I just consume so much of information. That's how I learn. And the first one I did was the NFT Catcher podcast with you and your co-host, Jenny from the blockchain. And this is a full circle moment. It was so cool to run into you at VCon.
Yep.
And we were waiting in line to go to one of the panels. And, I saw your shirt and I didn't want to be presumptuous and assume that it was you wearing the shirt. So, but lo and behold, it was, and just so welcoming and chill. And so first of all, congrats to all of the great stuff that's happening with your podcast. And I saw you guys were up for one of the awards, right? For best media.
For sure. Yeah, I can't believe it.
That must be like, let's jump into that first. Like how is, talk about full circle. So much has happened from a year. So where's your head at right now?
Yeah, we're having a good time doing it. We're up to 61 episodes. We have some really great guests lined up. We've had great guests already, and it's been awesome. Yeah, it was really great to meet you. I'll circle back to that. It was really great to meet you at VCon. Met so many people. I was wearing those shirts every day, so like people were coming up to me, and I was with a buddy of mine who I've been friends with for 20 years, and he's like, "Why are people like taking pictures with you?" And it was really it was pretty funny.
How do you explain that? What did he say?
I was like, I don't know, man. Like it's weird. Like it's never happened before, but like people would, especially with the shirt because it makes it pretty obvious.
Right.
And there was, it wasn't like a million people, but there might have been 10 or 12 over the few days who wanted to get a selfie or come up and say how much they like the pod. And that was really neat. Like I say to Jennifer all the time, we always say it, that we have the best fans. Like they're passionate. They're always talking about us on Twitter. They're in the Discord. Like we're really just lucky to have this, it's a really great community and we have so much fun doing it.
And that's amazing. That's the most important part, but like just the whole energy you guys have, it's so, I guess the only word I can think of is comforting. Like it's just like you're sitting in on a casual conversation with two chill people talking about this space and like everything about it. Like you're never pumping anything. You're never, putting pressure on anyone to feel a certain way or to do certain things. It's just total, like chill is the only word, chill and comforting. So
Thanks,
think
man.
That's, it's just amazing what so many people need. So, congrats. You guys are just going to keep on booming.
Well, I appreciate that.
I want to take a few steps back to begin. If you can just give us like 55 seconds. I know you mentioned your past in the ticket broker industry, but just do like a 55-second cliff notes of your background, professionally, what you were into up until the point that you got into NFTs.
Sure. No, I'm from Philadelphia. I moved I'm near Miami. I moved here about 18, 19 years ago. And for that whole time that I've been down here, I was a professional ticket broker. So concerts, sporting events. I worked with my brother-in-law. We were based out of Colorado. So it was Mile High Tickets. And we would just always buying and selling tickets. And that got shut down, obviously, the beginning of 2020. I didn't work that whole year. And I was looking for something to do. What do I do? And Gary Vee, believe it or not, had a video. It was actually a TikTok he put out talking about NFTs. That was early February 2021. And the moment he started talking about it, I just knew it was what I needed to do. So and the industries are actually very, very similar. I could talk about some of that. Not in 55 seconds, but they're very similar industries, believe it or not. So once I got the bug and I never looked back. I was going 24 hours a day, like from that moment.
So you were a Gary guy, and Gary's what did it? Did you immediately go to the flipping kind of ticket? Did that part of your brain kind of start going off?
Yeah,
with it?
that's exactly what happened. So I knew Gary was smart already. Like I had followed him and watched his videos and consumed his content, so I was already a fan. And then when he said that, the first thing I found, like the video was over, I Googled what is an NFT, and I found Top Shot and got into that. And I got in right, at the beginning of February last year. That was prime time for flipping Top Shot. You'd buy a pack for $14, you get $1,000 worth of moments out of it. A lot of times, so I was, and the transparency and like everything just lined up. So I like went headfirst into that. Then I got into VV. If you're familiar with the VV app, the augmented reality, digital collectibles.
I know it just from listening to you guys. I never really dabbled.
Yeah. Yes, I got into that, and then Gary says everyone needs to get a MetaMask and put some Ethereum in there because I'm dropping a project. And I said, aye, Captain, and loaded up some ETH, and that was the first time I got ETH and started the whole journey.
I love it. So you were already a Gary guy, and like many people that are in this this VeeFam, he was the person that brought you in to the whole space. Now, when you started doing your own research, and obviously it sounds like you were doing DYOR before it was the cool thing to do, but did you navigate to other projects? I mean, I know you're PFP. I know we'll get there.
Right.
But did you start looking into other things?
No, I did for sure. I started, so Top Shot, VV, started a VV Facebook group with a bunch of my friends, and that's actually still going. I don't participate too much, but there's like 6,000 people in there. Met a lot of people from there. And then when we went to ETH, started NFTCatcher. At that point, I was watching pretty much every project. So I was there when Cool Cats was minting, when Gutter Cat Gang was minting, all like we were doing, even the good ones, the bad ones, like we were doing all of it. So I was definitely looking at every project I could. I bought things that never ended up being anything, like even other platforms. Like I was really trying to look at everything I could.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. And I learned so much about the space from your podcast, and you definitely had, you cast a wide net over everything, and you had it was very clear. You had a pulse on what's going on, and you put Smiles on my radar.
Oh, cool.
And I got into that, and that was a really great community as well. But there's a lot of people, and we'll get to your Veefriends in a second, but there was a lot of people that had their ETH. They were listening to Gary. They got their MetaMask. They got their half ETH or 1 ETH in their wallet or more for that May 5th, 2021 drop. And then there was the delay. Gary wasn't ready. He didn't feel good about it. And then within that week before it minted, people got into Bored Ape. Is that when you got in?
I got into, so I didn't get into Bored Ape right exactly then. I bought 2 Veefriends. I bought my FaceTime Frog, and I bought a rare Keen Kingfisher. And sometime in mid-May or late May, I sold my rare Keen Kingfisher for about 5 ETH. And that's the money I used with that. That's when I bought my Bored Ape for 0.8. I bought it on May 31st. I minted 6 Pixel Vault Punks Comic ones. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was just my birthday. I posted on Twitter about it. So that money, the 5 ETH I got for flipping my rare Keen Kingfisher that I bought for 1, is what I turned into a lot of my portfolio.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And what was a rare? Was a rare like 1? I know it was Dutch.
It was 1 ETH. Yep. And I've actually been
Okay.
trying to get that back because the guy keeps putting it for sale, the same exact token that I sold back then. And I sold it for 5.25, and he had it for sale for like 14. But I keep putting like floor offers in on it for 8 and 8.25 or whatever. He hasn't accepted it yet, but
so
I'm trying to get that same exact token back.
That would be cool. I mean, talk about full circle.
Right. Exactly.
So that's really neat. So you still have your FaceTime Frog, and were you? I know I'm definitely. I come from a background not professionally, but amateur, ticket flipping. So I'm very curious about that. But let's zoom into you aping into VeeFriends. Were you big? I know you got a FaceTime Frog. Was that a huge draw for you? Do you say I want this access? I totally understand this.
Yeah, it was for sure. I paid 3 ETH for it, which at the time was like $12,000, if you remember. The ETH was 4,000 when that was dropping, and I didn't know what I wanted it for. I just knew that I was in the space and I was trying to build, and NFTCatcher.io launched on May 4th, so that's when we actually launched. So I just knew whatever I wanted to, that was an awesome thing to be able to have 3 FaceTimes with Gary. And so that was a huge draw for sure. I mean, we all should have been buying. We all should have put our life savings into and bought every single one we could,
Yeah.
In hindsight, right?
Yeah, I always talk about that week where ETH was high, and then it was just going up after that delay. And that did a number on me and my confidence and ability to get in. But yes, in retrospect, we all should have banded together and gotten a whole bunch of gift goats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the the 0.5s, the cores sat there for a couple days. You could have bought as many as you wanted.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And just so this project that we're speaking now, I'm just totally interested in fast forwarding 5 years and to see how the historical conversations play out of, we could be talking in 5 years and been like, you could have gotten your Keen Kingfisher for 14. Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, you're right. Probably.
So
why didn't I just buy it? Right.
Yeah. So as I said, a big part of this space is the flipping and the arbitrage. And it's, when done right with the right attitude, it can be very, very, good for you and for anyone that's doing it, for, finances and, just a happy livelihood. A lot of people enjoy it. I am someone that, would buy tickets and try to flip them. Definitely ate a lot of fees and money and tickets over the years, but I had some good ones too, and it's a pleasure to do that. It's fun. And you could speak on this professionally from what your insights from the ticket to the NFT world. But what I'd be interested to hear your take on how you see so many of the quote unquote communities just being infiltrated by people playing this game for better or worse.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, most of the people in the NFT space are here to try and make money. If you have a 10,000 piece project, you sell it to 5,000 people, you're lucky if you have 200, 300, 400 people that really are there just for the quote unquote community. Sometimes it grows into that, but most people are trying to make money, and and that's okay. But you have to be smart when you're dropping something and what you're looking at, and when you're buying and selling. When you're flipping, it's just as easy to lose money as it is to make money. So, what was the question there? Did I
was just from someone from your perspective, because I'm sure you've seen it from a different vantage point in the ticket world. Where people play this game, and I guess what I want to piggyback on as well, there's a lot of emotional things that Gary touches on too, how people are just totally over leveraged into things, and they think it's going to go up. And now is a great time to point that out. And, this bear market that we have, if we're calling it that, just where people's are over leveraged and their bags that once were this are now this, and people don't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I feel it myself. The Bored Ape was $450,000 a month ago, and now it's $180,000. So it's it's a lot of money. I'm not going to complain one little bit. I've done very well all along, and I've been careful, and I've taken money home, and I've sold a lot. I haven't held every single thing, because in all honesty, most of the projects are not going to end up long-term successes, just like most businesses are. And, there's no harm in taking profits. I never liked when people would shame anybody for selling or anything like that. And
And that was one of my favorite parts about VCon is when Gary in his closing keynote said, I will never, don't ever, ever, ever feel ashamed for selling a VeeFriend.
Right. If you need to sell, go sell it. Yep.
I think that's just an important message from the captain steering the ship, which aren't, if you hop into a lot of discords, that's just not the discourse that's going on.
True.
It's hold, sweep, sweep, sweep.
Mm-hmm.
So if just a quick, before we move into VeeFriends, could you give any kind of insight or foresight or prediction on what you see as far as ticketing in the whole space?
Yeah, for sure. I think eventually, and I've said this to the guys I used to work in tickets with, that every ticket will be an NFT. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Like if you look at Ticketmaster, they hate ticket brokers. And the reason is because they see ticket brokers selling tickets for way more than they sold them. But in the future, they'll be able to set the rules, take a secondary royalty. Secondary royalty goes back to the musicians. Like if you're a touring act and you blow up, but you were selling tickets for $20 and now your show's sold out and they're worth $300, you weren't making any extra money. With NFTs, you'll be able to reward your people in the future. So like if I bought a ticket to your concert this year, you'll be able to put me on the pre-sale list for next year, and get better seats and reward people that have been loyal fans. I think the tickets really will. And then we've seen a bunch of different, like the VCon had the app, which was really cool. That was your ticket. That was an NFT, a digital ticket. Ape Fest, they just announced that they're working with Token Proof for Ape Fest at NFT NYC, which is a really cool app, which allows you to go online, verify that the token is in your wallet, and then you can have the Token Proof app, and that acts as your ticket. And you don't have to pull up, you don't have to connect to anything, you don't have to sign anything. It knows that your wallet and your Token Proof are connected, and if that token's in that wallet, then you're good to go. You have a ticket.
Yeah, so it's happening. It's just a matter of time before it's at scale.
Yeah. These companies take their time, but I know bands that are trying to do it that way already, but Ticketmaster will be the last to adopt, but they're going to have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was thinking about what would be the reason when it's as inevitable as it is. So many people are doing in companies. I'm curious to be what the reason for not doing it now or next year would be for a Live Nation or Ticketmaster for an individual band.
I think a lot of times with these giant companies, there's a lot of red tape. They're already making money. They already have everybody under contract, everything's signed. They move slow, these giant companies.
It's just the education seeping through the chain of command there. Yeah.
And then there's some public, backlash. Not everybody's ready for NFTs. And people think they're scams and people think it's bad for the environment and that kind of stuff too. So there's probably some of that. They need to wait until that clears up.
I love it. So I'm ticketing has always been kind of an interest of mine. Yeah. So definitely wanted to hone in on that.
Nice.
So let's you mentioned Gary was the one to get you into this. When was the first time you heard the name Gary V?
Probably 3 or 4 years ago, just YouTube stuff. I was playing with baseball cards for a little bit, just having fun, just buying and selling. I wasn't really selling much, but I ended up, I thought I could do well with it. I ended up just buying off Philadelphia stuff, stuff I liked that didn't end up being worth much. But whenever you search baseball cards on YouTube, Gary V comes up. Mm-hmm. So then I started, I think that's how I initially found him, was baseball cards and basketball cards, whatever. And then just realized he had so much other, valuable content, and just really started liking his style and everything about him. And yeah, that's how I found it. Was probably 4 years ago. I'm not sure exactly when. And
you liked him and had enough conviction about him to spend some ETH on VeeFriends.
Yeah.
How does that conversation go with? I know you mentioned you have a family with.
Yep.
With your wife. Does that when you're just kind of not even totally sure what it is. You just have this conviction. Speak on that. How did that conversation go?
No, for sure. It was, we knew that I had to find something to do for work. And we were lucky enough to have a nice, savings. We did very well with tickets, but that was kind of over, and it didn't look like it was coming back anytime soon. And I started spending some money on this NFT stuff, and I was lucky enough that my wife trusted me, that, I've done well in the past, and she trusted me to be able to make some moves. And we spent a good amount of, I ended up spending probably 50 grand of real cash on NFTs getting started. And it took a while before I started making real money too, So I was very lucky that she trusted me. And, there were a couple times where she did you just wire another 10,000 into Coinbase? And I'm like, yeah, I did, but
it's for a good reason.
Yeah, it's for a good, I'm buying a picture of a hand-drawn picture of a little frog. It's fine.
But it's going to go up.
Yeah.
I love it. So where did the idea of NFTCatcher come from?
Sure.
I love the idea. I love the value that it brings. It's such a good, and well, for anyone listening, can you just give us a quick synopsis of what NFTCatcher is and
Sure.
The origin story behind that?
Yep. NFTCatcher.io, we're an aggregate of NFT drops, basically a calendar across all the different blockchains. Everything we could find, we would put on there. Independent artists, projects, VV, Top Shot, everything we can find, we put on there. The idea came from, there's a website in the ticket world called Shows on Sale, and I'm friends with the guy that runs it, and we were paying for that, $200 a month for 10 years. We pay for that site. Every morning you log on, it tells you every concert, every sporting event that's going on sale. And I was missing things in NFTs, and I just was like, the NFT space needs this. And I had become friends with a gentleman named Mark in Melbourne, Australia. From that VV Facebook group, we became friends, and he's a web designer. So we came together, and then I reached out to Casey and Nikki, who I worked with in tickets for many years, and I knew they were awesome, really smart. So the four of us put NFTCatcher together. We put it together in about 3 weeks or so. Launched, like I said, on May 4th, 2021, and that's how it came about. It's an idea one day, and we just went for it.
I love it, and it's anyone listening, I encourage you to check it out and get your name on the list, because it is super valuable just to have at least a pulse, at least have some being in the know of what's happening in this space.
Yeah,
so
ours is totally free, by the way. I said Shows on Sale charges. We're totally free. We've done no advertising. We have almost 70,000 users on our email list. That have signed up. We have a Discord with 10,000 people, all totally free. We don't charge one penny to anybody.
I love it. Yep. So as someone that has so much knowledge on so much in the space all over, and it's a vast space, even though it's,
Yep.
we have many millions of people still be onboarded. Where are you consider yourself in the Veefriends community as far as having a pulse on what's happening? Where do you get your information? How do you stay in the loop with Veefriends world?
Gary's really good at tweeting out. I have notifications on for Gary. Discord is tough. We have our NFTCatcher Discord, and that's where I spend most of my time in Discord. I have a hard time. I'm in 100 Discords, going Discord to Discord to Discord.
I can imagine.
I'm not up in there, but I'm friends with I try and go into the clubhouse every now and then, the Veefriends 24/7. There's a good crowd of people in there. I'm friends with Ron Jordan and Sal DeGuardia, and the Vaginas ladies are awesome. So I like that whole crew. And I try and stay engaged, but I'm not in the Discord chatting all day long. Mm-hmm. I don't have the time for that, but
sure.
So, yeah.
I'm curious, someone that's, and you're, being in it for as long as you have, you're definitely a OG status. 1 year feels like 9 years
for sure
in this space. and you've been to a few events. I'm curious because, part of this podcast is talking about this community and what happens. And so for someone that has been around, you've talked to different creators, you've talked to different people in different communities, and you've been to different events. I know Art Basel and NFT NYC and things like that. I'm just curious from your vantage point, does anything seem, feel, taste different in VeeFriends world as far as the community and the members behind it than maybe some other projects or events?
Right. I mean, Gary is people that love Gary V love Gary V. And people there's people love him and there's people that hate him. But the people that love Gary, go into that. I mean, there was there were 4-hour lines to shake his hand. I don't know if there's anyone else that could do that. Anybody. The founders of Bored Apes did it. There wouldn't be anybody lining up to shake their hands.
Right.
Not like that. So there's definitely a different vibe. I mean, that was a great conference. He put together the best list of speakers, as far as I'm concerned. There were really good panels, really good speeches.
Sure, yeah.
And that vibe was awesome. The first NFT NYC was really special back last November because it was kind of the first time that everybody had gotten together. Everyone that had been friends all year met each other. Everything was blowing up and the prices were all really high. So everyone's living on cloud nine, we did it, so that was a great vibe. But the Gary V, that's a whole nother, I'm going to hesitate to say the word cult, but that, some people say it's kind of like a cult. People love Gary V, and I do too. I'd run through a wall for him. He's done so much.
Sure. But when I explain it or start to explain, where was I that weekend or what am I doing or what am I doing
right,
a podcast about?
Right.
When I'm trying to explain it, it does sound like it does have cult-like vibes.
Yeah.
Which is, it's hard to understand from the outside.
Yeah.
But
not all cults are bad, cult movies and what it is. It's
exactly.
Yeah. So
it was very interesting going to VCon because what was happening on Twitter, there was a lot of FUD on Twitter, a lot of people, ETH is crashing, Sol is this.
Yeah.
And there was just kind of a lot of unrest. And then we go there and we were just kind of in this little bubble of Garyland, which was all good vibes and just looking forward and everything. Do you think if Gary moved away, or if he teases the fact that he's just going to stop everything one day and just stop, or God forbid, and no one's guaranteed tomorrow,
right?
Do you think this project has the run that he says it is without him present?
I mean, if something horrible happened now, it would probably take a huge hit, and not sure if it would recover. But if that's 20 years from now, it depends on what's built between now and then, if that makes sense.
No, of course.
This project is him for sure. The VCon and all the access tokens, all that stuff is built on him, really.
Yeah, and for someone that does talk so much, not only about the future and not being guaranteed tomorrow, I wonder what. Just as a side note, I'm curious what he does have in place, just as a doomsday scenario for the project. So that's very interesting banter. Now we've talked a lot about prices and everything. I'm just from your curiosity, maybe you have some friends or whatever. Even with prices, even with ETH where it is today, it's still a good chunk of change for your average Joe. Just changing gears here, what do you say to someone that wants to get into the space or a project, but doesn't have $2,000, doesn't have $1,500, $4,000, whatever to get in? Just out of curiosity, from your vantage point, how do you help them get in? What's your advice?
Yeah, I really don't like giving financial advice at all. But I always I could tell people what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. Like for people that want to get in the space that don't have a lot of money, honestly, just start by learning. Get on Twitter Spaces. Listen to the Nifty Alpha show every morning, and they talk about free mints and things that are cheap, and get your feet wet. And just the best thing you could do is learn. You're not going to make $1 million in a month. Learn. Go on Clubhouse. Follow the right influencers on Twitter, and when something connects with you, make a move. People right now, like VeeFriends Series 2.5, I think is a great deal. I'm up to like 16 of them, and I'm probably going to keep buying.
I was going to go there.
Like,
I was going to ask. Yeah,
like that to me, like is as solid a play as there is. But, new people, it's really most important to learn. Spend that time. Don't just go buy something and then that puts you in the space. Get in the space by learning. There's lots of free NFTs. There's PO apps. There's all kinds of community things happening. So just learn. Learn and learn.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, I come from an educator background, and the best way to learn is by doing.
Yeah, it's the only way. Yep.
I love it.
Yeah.
So now that you leaked that you have 16, what's your number one? If you have to sell 15, which one are you holding?
Let's see. Well, probably the one, I guess, my evolving one that was because you get the one for free. But I also bought I'm going to look at right now, 6 or 7 Keen Kingfishers, because you remember I said my Keen Kingfisher.
Yeah.
Obviously, my last name is Keen, so that one has a soft spot in my heart.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't even. Yeah. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Right. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Keen Kingfishers, and those I really like. But my evolving one is probably the one I should keep. They gave me an enormous emu. The reason because the FaceTime ones they didn't move over to the evolving.
They were retired. Yes.
Yep.
So it was just randomized.
Enamored emu. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So it was randomized.
That's interesting, and there's a lot of buzz now because, for a while, for as long as V2 was a thing, Gary in the Discord said, there's no utility. V2 is just collectible. It's no utility. And then a couple weeks ago, he drops this thing. If you have a competitive clown or a pickleball background, you get this VIP pickleball experience, which is happening this coming weekend in Austin.
Yep.
Where you get to fly out and you get put up and you get to meet Andy, the president, and you get all this swag. And photo opportunities with professional pickleball players. So he's really building up his pickleball niche there.
Yeah, he is. He bought like a professional team or something.
For sure. He's calling it the Fives, and the competitive clown. It's looking like the competitive clown is going to be like the mascot. So if you had a competitive clown or a pickleball background,
that's cool. Any
character V2. But what's cool about that is because that's the utility that he just kind of threw in there.
Yeah. Yep.
So I totally agree that the 0.5 V2s are a good place to go. So I want to go into this next portion. I call it micro, macro, Spitfire. So I'm going to give you some ors or some questions.
Mm-hmm.
This or that, and you can go just a general macro yes or no or answer, or you can go super micro and give a detailed reason why on some part.
Okay.
So here we go. Who is someone that needs to, if you're just getting into either Veefriends or any kind of NFT, who is someone that needs to be followed immediately?
Well, obviously Gary. I'm a big Zeneca fan. Zeneca 33. He's really smart, really well versed in the community, and I love the Nifty Alpha show with Nick and Pio in the morning. I think that they're funny. They do a really good job. They have great guests. So I'd say that's a great place to start right there. And then the NFTCatcher podcast.
Of course. If you didn't say I was.
Yeah.
The favorite teacher you had growing up and one reason why?
A guy named Lee Michaels. Mr. Michaels was my accounting teacher at Northeast High School in Philadelphia. He was a good dude. He was an Eagles fan like I was, and obviously most people in Philadelphia are, but he helped me join this club called the Future Business Leaders of America, and I got to travel around, do some competitions, did really well in some accounting competitions. That was my favorite teacher.
I love it. Decentraland or Sandbox?
Probably Sandbox.
Giants, if they're playing in the NFC Championship, Giants or Redskins?
Definitely the Redskins. The Giants, and that's hard to say because I don't like the Redskins, but the Giants are my least favorite team, even less than the Cowboys. One of my best friends from Penn State is a huge Giants fan, so like that just solidified that rivalry. We've gone to a bunch of Giants Eagles games together and stuff like that. So. And
now I'm realizing I said Redskins. I probably shouldn't have said Redskins.
Yeah, that's we don't like the Redskins either. You could have said Giants or Cowboys. And most Eagles fans hate the Cowboys more. But me personally, it's the Giants.
Friends or The Office?
The Office.
Gratitude Gorilla or Patient Pig?
Gratitude Gorilla.
All right, just two. This is not an or, just whatever first thing comes to your mind. Jenkins the valet.
Love Jenkins. I'm a holder. I bought pre-reveal. I have 4 of them, and I think that's going to be a really big Web3 media success story.
Solana NFTs.
I just have one. I bought my first one a few weeks ago. It's to be determined. Like it's got a big community and people are trying to make it happen. But then I keep hearing things about the network shutting down, and there's going to be a space for lots of things to succeed in blockchains. Is Solana going to go by the way of Wax, or because like Wax was popular when I first got in?
Sure.
Or like it seemed like it was really coming up. There's lots of Twitter spaces about it. Like I'm on the fence. Like, I'd like to even get a few more and try and learn it. I would like to learn more about it. That's what I would say. I would like to learn more.
I mean, about a month ago, it was shaping up for another round of Solana Summer.
Yeah.
But now,
Solana, the token went from 120 down to 40. Right. Yeah, exactly.
One more. 2-hour group dinner access with Gary for 2 hours, or a 10-minute one-on-one conversation?
Probably would depend on who the group is and how big it was, but sorry, delay. It's not that tough of a question. Probably the one-on-one. I've been so lucky to have. I had a 5-minute FaceTime with him, which was incredible, and then we got to interview him for 5 minutes at VCon, which was also incredible.
So you have 10 minutes.
Yeah, I've had 10 minutes. Yeah, for sure. And he knows who I am now. I gave him a gift. I gave him a Hugh Douglas autographed rookie card from the Jets because we had talked about Hugh Douglas on our 5-minute FaceTime. So that was kind of neat. And
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he must have loved that. I gifted him too because he shared that he, someone asked him, what's one card that's your favorite, and he mentioned the 1990 Leaf Frank Thomas rookie.
Oh wow,
which was the biggest card when he was a kid. So on eBay, I tracked down. I mean, I figured he has a million of them. He probably doesn't sign PSA 10, whatever.
Yeah.
But he's big on 5. And you don't see many PSA 5s because when the card is in that
people
shape,
don't send it in. Yep.
You don't get it graded. So I tracked down on eBay. There was one PSA 5 of that card. So I gifted it to him in hopes that he would kind of remember that moment and attach me to it eventually.
Nice. When did you do that?
I did it. Well, I got in line early at the pre-party.
Oh, cool. Yep.
On the Thursday of VCon.
I couldn't even get in the door for that. That line wrapped around the block like 2 times. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It was insane. It was just by happenstance. I did this. A guy in the community did a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. It was kind of like a networking thing. Like some projects were there, like Dapper Dinos was there. It was cool. They had food and a DJ. and the weather, you remember it hailed, the weather kind of cut that short. So we were just kind of cleaning up, and I was like, listen, I'm just going to head over there because I'm sure there's going to be a line. Yeah, so we waited for like an hour, and there's cool people there, and I was second in line. I didn't run or anything. It was very chill getting in there at that time, and I just waited a little bit and met some more people, and
amazing,
got to meet them. So, Michael, I totally want to thank you for your time. This is so cool to be talking to you. Usually when I'm hearing your voice, it's in the car or in my headphones while I'm going for a walk or something.
Appreciate that, man. I love it. This was great. And I'll do it again, man. Hit me up. We'll do it again sometime for sure.
I love it. So, one more time, just going to shill NFT Catcher podcast. Him and Jenny from the blockchain, just two awesome people, ambassadors for the space. And the NFTCatcher.io free email list, and check them out. It's NFT Ticket on Twitter.
NF Ticket. Yep.
NF Ticket on Twitter. Yep. Definitely check them out. Thanks for being an incredible ambassador for not only VeeFriends, but the whole space. And I can't wait to connect soon.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much for having me.